The year is 2021. We live in the shattered ruins of the United Kingdom. A year earlier, Keir Starmer came to power in the Labour leadership contest. Instantly, the party was split between liberal centrist Remainers and hardcore Chad Lexiteers. But this didn't just stop in the Labour Party. It spread outside into the rest of the United Kingdom. Conservatives and Labour Party supporters waged war on the streets, one side with their pints of Carlin and the English flags that Emily Thornberry would surely mock, and the other side with their, I don't know, cappuccinos or something from Starbucks. It was horror. The country was ravaged. And it didn't even stop in our country. Because in America, Senator Bernard Sanders had rose to power. He'd used his army of Russian bots to harass women and minorities online, and brought out his young Bernie bros to block the entrances to the polls. Pete Buttigieg was put in a massive hamster wheel to provide clean energy for the rest of the country. Bloomberg was beheaded. It was anarchy.
Well, that's an excerpt from Sam's new book that he's written
Yeah,
about
it's
future politics.
It's actually a true recovery of using prototype time machine technology to get the news from the future.
I'm blown away. That was the first time I've heard that, and I honestly don't really have anything to say about it.
Well, this is why we are the #1 podcast on the internet, because we can't just tell you the news when it happens. We can tell you it before it happens.
Well, I mean, to get back to real news.
This is real news.
Present day news.
Present day
news. Well, we're back. It's episode 3.
It is.
We didn't do an episode last week because there were a variety of factors preventing us from doing an episode last week.
Crazy time.
It was a crazy time.
It's best not to get into it here.
But the last week or so, what's really happened. Coronavirus is now a thing again.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
back.
it didn't really stop being a thing.
No, but it's come back to.
Yeah.
It's every single news headline every
Yeah.
hour is now coronavirus.
I mean, I'm just waiting to get sick and die from it, to be honest, because I don't want to endure the next 5 years of this government.
Wow, that's strong.
Yeah.
And to hear this from a member of the Labour Party, who should be enthusiastic because obviously
Yeah.
they're going to win the next election.
Absolutely.
Now that Keir Starmer is properly ahead in the polls.
Well, yeah, we're looking at, 53% for Keir Starmer on the first ballot.
Yeah, that would be interesting as a big switch away from Corbyn winning
Yeah,
on the first ballot
it's
both
certainly
times.
A big headline if you contrast it to Corbyn's victory. There's some similarities there, obviously quite a few differences. I don't think there was anyone who rivaled Corbyn quite as strongly in the first leadership election as, say, Rebecca Long-Bailey.
Really?
I don't know. I've not got the numbers.
I
in
do
front
not
of me,
think
but-
that Rebecca Long-Bailey is rivaling.
No, I don't.
Keir Starmer.
I don't think that she's. It is closer, I think, than anyone felt.
Really? I don't think it is. I would, I would have expected Long-Bailey to at least be in a better chance of winning.
Oh yeah, I
than
mean,
she is
when we
now.
looked at the contest, I thought to myself that she had a good shot of winning, and I don't believe that anymore.
No, absolutely not.
But what I'm saying is Corbyn was, after a while, there was a sense of momentum that if you really looked at it and you disregarded the sort of establishment, received wisdom, he was running away with it and no one could really come close. Do you think that's the situation with him?
With Starmer?
Keir Starmer?
I mean, Keir Starmer's not the same kind of politician that Corbyn is. So
Really? This
it's
is a
hard
shock.
I for a second then I didn't clock that you were being sarcastic, and I was just sat there like, oh, is it? And I was like, oh, hang on, yeah. But Starmer is not this kind of challenger who nobody's ever heard of, like
That's
who's aiming to bring the Labour Party back to its roots or anything like that.
No,
Starmer's just a kind of dull politician. He's got no real he's always been in the press and in the Labour Party regarded as a potential leadership candidate and future
true.
leader. He's never had the outsider edge that Corbyn's got.
Well, in our first episode back in the good old days before the podcast sold out, we discussed Keir Starmer and basically said that he was boring and had no substance and there was absolutely nothing there.
But he is.
But yeah, that's
still the
true.
case.
But I think what I missed at the time is that everyone else is so bad that the lack of any character trait actually just seems to be a net positive to the majority
Yeah,
of Labour members.
I think that's fair.
You know, to be honest, it seems obvious now you look at it. I mean,
I don't know, because I never claimed that him being boring and bland would actually like limit him. I just claimed that it made me dislike him.
oh yeah, certainly. I mean,
the thing about Keir Starmer is his blandness is now something that is started to be talked about and recognised within the press. Like I read an article the other day saying that he was trying to counter accusations that he's too boring and things like that.
True.
And one of them was like, you know, I took my kids to a football match, so I'm not a boring man.
Well,
and it's a bit like that's not like. That's not a boring thing to do. It's not an exciting thing to do, is it?
No,
like,
you wouldn't go,
I took the unprecedented. It's like I fucking walked in the Himalayan mountains for 6 months and learned from Buddhist monks.
It's not the
That'd be
Rory
something-
Stewart
No,
experience, is it?
It's not like Rory Stewart who's like, yeah, I basically ran Iraq.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, maybe-
Keir Starmer is just a bit like, you know what? I did the most kind of ordinary thing you could really do.
Well, maybe Keir Starmer smoked spice with a load of People's Vote campaigners, and this'll come out and catapult him into the top.
Have they really talked about drugs in this leadership election so far? Because they usually get round to it.
I think there was a question about drugs.
Oh, they all said that they'd smoked cannabis or something, didn't they? Really, it wasn't.
Well, last time it was only Corbyn that said he hadn't smoked cannabis, which is.
Does he not?
Oh no, well.
What a boring
least he
guy.
hasn't admitted
Corbyn's
to it.
quite a boring guy, though.
He is. He's got his love of jam and.
His drains. He takes pictures of drains.
No, it's manhole covers.
Manhole covers. Sorry.
Yeah, you're not a real Corbyn
I didn't
fan.
mean to diss Corbyn in his hobbies, but I was reading his Wikipedia article the other day because as a very exciting man myself,
Yeah,
I feel like
not like Keir Starmer.
No, I can comment on what boring people do, and it was all really. He was like, oh, I'm teetotal. You know, I am a vegan. I attend to my gardening and my manhole covers. And it's like he's really boring. The only thing that made him exciting was Labour's rebrand of Jeremy Corbyn, which they did after because his first two leadership elections he ran on a basis of take personality out of politics. I'm actually quite boring. We should move to the left, but you know, let's do it. It's kind of just a
but we've got to recognise that the other thing that made Corbyn the revolutionary hero that he was our friends in the press.
yeah. If they
Dangerous hero Corbyn, you know.
But the Corbyn that fought the 2017 election was a very different Corbyn to the one that won the Labour leadership election in 2015. Like, I remember reading a Guardian article about Labour's planned rebrand of Jeremy Corbyn as a populist, and I was laughing, and I was just like, "Is that really?
Spoke about this in the
is
past,
that really
yeah.
what they're gonna do to such a kind of boring man?"
Well,
Like,
it worked
and
to
then
some
it
degree.
worked,
He
and
became-
then everyone was like, "Oh, he's a fiery populist. Let's slur him for being a fiery populist."
Yeah, he
rather
couldn't
than-
really win, could he?
No.
I mean-
I don't really like him, so it's not
What,
the
you
biggest.
the
It's not the
Liberal
biggest.
Democrat parliamentary candidate doesn't like Corbyn?
Yeah,
This is...
it's not the biggest, loss for me.
No.
But I didn't really hate him as much as I think that he got more hate than he really deserved, and I say that as someone who didn't like him.
Well, this is a groundbreaking political revelation that Jeremy Corbyn might have been mistreated a little bit by the media.
Yeah, just a little bit.
But back to Keir Starmer. Now, if we're looking at how boring Jeremy Corbyn was before the media got around to him, maybe, in a few years he will be, the bandana wearing revolutionary socialist who, I don't know, threw bricks at policemen or something.
Keir Starmer, God, can you imagine?
Keir
He's like,
Starmer.
I ran the Crown Prosecution Service, which means that I'm going to prosecute all of the police, ACAB.
Oh, that would be a turn, wouldn't it?
That would be a turn for Keir
Anarchist
Starmer.
Keir Starmer.
Can you imagine the Antifa, I don't know how you pronounce it, Keir Starmer. Like,
I will say that Keir Starmer's leadership team, if you are looking for someone to manage your man in the press, we are very much available.
I'm not, because I just think he's really boring, so Sam's available.
I think he's boring, but listen, as a strong Marxist-Leninist, I'm very adaptive and have no principles.
I personally am not going to work for Keir Starmer. Sorry, Keir, if you're listening to this. But,
Well,
I just don't think that
Keir,
it's
give me a call.
Alright, you can give Sam a call, and then we'll talk We'll have you on the podcast. We'll have him on the podcast.
Let's have him
We
on the
should do
podcast,
that.
yeah. Episode 4, Keir Starmer will be on the podcast.
Right, but anyway, 53%.
53%.
first round preference for Keir Starmer.
It's impressive.
It's impressive, and this isn't the only poll that's put him very, very highly. This
No,
is the
he's,
first that showed him winning outright on the first ballot, but this
Yeah.
is also the first since Thornbury hasn't been on the
Oh,
ballot.
that's true, isn't it?
So I reckon that most of Thornbury's, if not all of Thornbury's support would have gone to Starmer, which would have been enough in the previous polls to push him over the 50%
Well,
barrier.
definitely. I mean, he's definitely considered the Labour right candidate.
But there's only one poll that's come out that's shown Long Bailey winning, and that was a poll of Labour list members. When
That's true.
Labour list are to the left of the
That's true.
Labour
It's not the
Party.
most representative poll.
So I wouldn't really treat that with any
No, I think
careful consideration.
obviously there's a while before the election. Things could change.
I mean, it's happening now though.
Yeah.
People are voting now.
Yeah, before the election results are counted.
Yeah.
Some people are hanging on to the ballots. Some people...
I think most people will be voting immediately.
Yeah, there's that sort of edge to vote immediately.
Whenever I was a Labour member and I got my leadership votes, I would vote straight away. I've done the same as a member of the Lib Dems. Like,
Well,
I vote
That's why you don't
immediately.
have... you're not very cautious. You've got to wait and see how things go. Like me, I'm hanging on to my
Oh,
ballot.
are you?
I
Yeah,
am, yeah.
you've not voted yet, have
I've
you?
not voted yet.
But you know who you're going to vote for.
Yeah. But and I'm not revealing it on this podcast.
You've already said.
That's an exciting...
You've already said that
Without
in,
voting for
in
Rebecca
episode
Long-Bailey.
1, yeah.
Well, I think I might have danced around it, but it's
I
out
don't know
there
if
now.
you did.
And it is a big shock. It is a big shock to anyone who knows me.
Yeah.
They would have expected me to be a big Nandi fan.
Sam's a Blairite.
Yeah.
So,
Well, let's not get into that.
you know. So, you know, I'm surprised personally that you're voting for Rebecca Long Bailey. I
Yeah.
mean, someone has to, I suppose. Lisa
she's-
Nandy didn't really go up in this most recent poll either, did
No,
she?
she didn't.
She kind of stayed exactly
All
the
that
same.
sort of sound and fury from her online supporters who just yell towns
Yeah,
all day.
it's really weird that when you get 16-year-olds supporting you online, it doesn't really translate
doesn't
into
translate.
a huge base of support.
Yeah, I mean,
We need to win back towns.
we need to win back towns. But you know what? Even at this point, if I fully believed that Lisa Nandy could win back towns, I would still find it difficult to vote for her.
Because she's been ridiculous.
Her supporters just scream towns, and you know, I live in a town. I should be her base, but I know these people have never been to a town.
Oh, that's true,
They
you
don't
do
like
live in a
towns.
town.
I do live in a town. So, Lisa Nandy, if you somehow win the election and you're looking for someone to join your team, I am available.
Is this just going to be you pitching yourself to every single
Yeah,
Labour leadership?
I'm
candidate?
playing both sides.
Oh, yeah.
Well, all three
at
sides,
the
yeah.
moment, yeah.
I'm hedging my bets, friend.
Do we have any more to talk about the Labour leadership? It's not really a...
Well, there's I take this with a grain of salt because this is just coming out of the recesses of my memory, which isn't the most reliable thing. But I believe there was a poll out that showed the amount of people who think we should just let Brexit get done in the Labour Party, and the amount of people who think we need to either fight it or go for rejoin is about half and half.
Really?
Really? So
That would make sense as to where Starmer's base is coming
yeah,
from then.
if it's a lot of pro-European members, then that, you know, makes sense. But I think it does show that the Labour Party is headed for collapse if we embrace this sort of, you know, obsession over Europe and we can't get over it no matter what. Because we will be like the Liberal Democrats.
Yeah, I
just-
think we're a bit past that point, to be honest.
yeah, just crying about an issue that we can't take control of, that will only upset people who don't like us and get them out to vote against us. Because if we go for rejoin, or if we just stay mad about Brexit, then the next election will be fought just the same way this was. You know, vote
I don't
for
know
the
about
Conservatives.
that.
The core message will be Labour is the party of the pro-Europeans. They want to take away your Brexit. It worked for them last time.
But it
they'll do
depends how
again.
Brexit actually goes outside of the transition period, which nobody knows yet. So
Well, no, you know, I see the future. I get my information from the future, as we talked about at the start of this episode, and I can confirm that Boris Johnson's Brexit will be a massive success. It's
Will
going
it?
to be great for the country. We'll have flying cars in 2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
I'm going to hold you to that.
Okay.
But
Well, in 2 years' time, when we're still going strong on this podcast, you can talk to me on air about it.
on air, literally on air.
Literally
We're
on
in
air.
our flying podcast.
In our
car.
flying car.
Right.
Exactly.
Should we move on? Should
Yeah,
we move on
let's-
to America?
Ooh.
America.
Remember, the description of this podcast is we mostly talk about British politics.
Yeah, at the moment, I think during the presidential election, though, we're
And
gonna.
it's all bigger in America, isn't it? It's all
Yeah.
more exciting.
It is right now.
I mean, they have guns, so, you know, what are we going to do? If something goes badly on our politics, we just yell at each other.
We can
But
get
America,
back to speaking about British politics after they're not having a big vote.
Yeah, in America, there's always the possibility that any political event will end in gunfire, and that's just exciting.
So, Nevada, Bernie Sanders won the Nevada
big
caucuses.
Big win for Bernie Sanders.
Joe Biden had his best ever showing in any primary contest of all the presidential campaigns he's ever fought.
Came in a strong second.
Came in a strong second at 19%, something like that.
I just know the best.
30 points behind Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
So, well done, Joe Biden. It's your best ever showing. I'm very proud of you.
This is
Tom Steyer.
Tom
Steyer, who I don't even think we spoke about in our summary of American politics. Not summary, but our
forays into
American politics. Our one previous time doing that. Tom Steyer won a county in Nevada.
I didn't even know about this.
He didn't do very well. He didn't even come fourth, I think. But he managed to win one county, and that's not statistically relevant in any way. But because it's probably a very deserted county.
Yeah.
But that's very, very. I just found it weird to look at the map and see Bernie winning almost all of them, and then just Tom Steyer winning this one.
Well, if you look at the demographics of Nevada, which I do, I'm famously an expert on American geography.
On Nevada in particular.
Yeah, it's basically desolate. There's not much there. You've got Las Vegas, and then you've got this sort of just a desert.
I keep forgetting that Las Vegas is in Nevada.
Well, yeah, that was the big. All the analogies were made after the debate. Where Bloomberg got slaughtered. He was said to have had the most expensive night in Vegas ever. But no, it is actually. I have just looked into your claim about Steyer winning a county, and I can confirm that the county that Steyer won is actually made up of body snatchers from Area 51. They're all aliens. Because not Starmer.
Freudian slip there.
Steyer is the post-edist candidate.
Incredible. This is not a conclusion I expected us to reach about US politics today.
Well, this is the type of insight you can only get on the left can't meme.
So, Bernie Sanders is now being accepted as the frontrunner by almost everyone.
Well, yeah, and a big part of that was the most recent debate. Everyone piled on him. He's suddenly the one to beat.
Warren scored a really good victory against Bloomberg. She did.
In the not in this last podcast, the podcast before. And podcast debate.
You can't speak today.
I can't. It's a problem, and we're probably not going to even edit it out.
Yeah, Warren didn't beat Bloomberg in our podcast's live debate of the US presidential candidates, but she really did show him in the TV show. Not the debate, the TV
so
show.
You've got the same problem?
US politics.
All right, this is why we need a producer.
US politics, the Netflix adaptation.
Yeah. Well, while I'm being hired by Starmer / Nandy, Joe's got, he's big with the streaming services.
I've got Scorsese to direct a film about US politics in 2020.
Okay, back to the debates.
The Wolf of...
which are so much less important than our podcast. So, this most recent debate. Now, Joe hasn't seen it. I have seen it. I was up at 3 a.m.
I just legitimately don't care, which is my foil when it comes to
I don't
the
care,
US Democratic Party.
I had nothing else to do. I was already up at 3 a.m. for no reason, so I watched this debate, and the biggest takeaway is it's a shambles. I mean, they're children yelling at each other.
They certainly are children yelling at each other.
Bernie Sanders was given an answer on, I think it was his Medicare for All, how he plans to pay for it. Pete Buttigieg just spoke over him. The entire answer, people were yelling at each other. And the weird thing, and the thing that I've not seen picked up in most analysis of this debate, is that Joe Biden was really flirting with one of the moderators.
Was he?
Yeah, he really was. You could see in his eyes he was like, I want to sniff her hair.
Oh, no.
And, she seemed to be receptive to it, so I don't know if there's going to be some conversations in the Biden household following that. I don't think Jill's very pleased, but maybe they have an open relationship.
You never know with Joe Biden. He's a very scary man. He's a very... you never know what he's up to.
He is one of those things that I love to see him speak, because every time he opens his mouth, you don't know what's going to come out. It's really...
Scary.
It's scary, but in a very fun way. It's like being on a roller coaster. Bernie Sanders is like the safe option. Everyone knows his stump speech by now. You could probably... with 90% accuracy, just guess what he's going to say at any given time.
Yeah, and it's working.
Yeah, but with Joe Biden, just anything could come out of his sort of addled mind.
I mean, he's just insane. Like, what are you really going to say?
I've said it before. I think his staff is allowing him to continue, doing what he's doing. It's almost elder abuse.
Yeah, he shouldn't be allowed to stand on stage at this point.
But it does look certainly better for Joe Biden. All the sort of mainstream media analysis of that night said that he definitely won the debate, or at least turned in his best debate performance that he has so far, but which he needs to do.
To get to Warren and Bloomberg.
Oh yeah, let's get
as well. She eviscerated him.
Yeah,
it wasn't even. I mean, it didn't increase any of her own popularity. She hasn't for a while. She hasn't resulted in polls. But I'm liking. This is what she should be doing.
It is, but
at this point, when she knows she can't win, she's never going to win the primaries. And what she should be doing at this point. Like, if she hadn't done the whole Bernie's a sexist thing, then right now I would be like, oh, I quite like Elizabeth Warren for doing that, for taking someone else down without even having a motive.
She knows she's a sinking ship.
Yeah, so but why is she doing this now that Bernie's done with her anyway? That's what I'm wondering.
Well, I think it's like the Labour Party I said in the first episode. At this point, if you're in the Labour Party, it's because you have a masochism fetish. And I think that Elizabeth Warren's candidacy sort of serves the same thing. She can't win. She's just going to be humiliated in her own home state of Massachusetts, where Bernie is set to win with 25%. She's got 17% in that in the latest poll, which says she's dangerously close to being non-viable in her own home state. So if you support...
She basically is, though. She's miles behind Bernie in that poll.
Yeah, but if she doesn't even crack 15%, she could come away without a single statewide delegate.
I mean, she'd withdraw.
Yeah, maybe, but
definitely.
I would say that the big thing to watch out for is the fact that basically every single Democrat has now admitted their whole path to nomination involves going into a brokered convention where Bernie Sanders will have...
I don't think they went so far as to admit to that.
Well,
but they said that in the event of a brokered convention,
it shouldn't necessarily be the person with the most voters, which only makes sense to say that it shouldn't be if you know you're not going to be the person with the most voters.
I suppose, but I don't think they're outright saying at this point that that's their path to the nomination.
Well,
but it is, because who's second at this point?
Is it Buttigieg?
Yeah, but it's obviously Sanders is the front runner. Yeah. Sanders is currently first.
Yeah, Joe Biden and Michael Bloomberg are sort of trying to...
Yeah, but who's actually second place to Bernie Sanders at this point? Nobody seems to...
The delegate count, it'll be Buttigieg. In terms of national vote, I feel like maybe Biden.
But nobody's rallying behind Biden.
Yeah, I mean...
At this point, nobody's going, right, Biden's the candidate we should rally behind for the centrist.
If you support Biden, it's sort of the same... It's the same way that Joe Biden sort of stumbled through this entire election. If you end up at a Biden rally, it's probably because, you went missing from the local old folks' home and sort of just made your way there by accident. But once he's got those people, in the rally, they lap up what he's got to say.
Yeah, I suppose so. But, I mean, he's not really the second place to Sanders, I would argue.
No.
So who is? It is just Bernie at this point.
Yeah, there's no credible alternative, and of course things could change after South Carolina, which is...
Bloomberg.
Well, Bloomberg's not going to be in the South Carolina primary.
I thought he was.
No, he starts on Super Tuesday.
Oh, does he? Okay.
Yeah, South Carolina now, at the minute, looks like it's going to be a Biden sweep.
Yeah,
but not,
he will probably win.
But not by the numbers that he was predicted to just a few months ago. He was up by 30 points. Now we've got polls where he's, 4 points between him and Bernie Sanders?
I would be very surprised if Joe Biden did not win.
I'd be shocked, but at the same time, in that event, the primary is over at that point. If Bernie Sanders managed to win South Carolina, and if it isn't Biden, it will be Bernie, then there is no hope of stopping Bernie Sanders, and everyone might as well bow out then, because they won't even be able to take it from a broken convention at that point. He'll be heading for a majority of delegates.
I just really, really do not know what's
anything about politics.
Anything about politics, but what their plan is, who the unity candidate would be in a brokered convention.
I don't know. I mean, part of me thinks it's going to be Michael Bloomberg, hasn't it? Because
but I don't think so.
If you want the superdelegates to give you the nomination, he's going to make the boldest play for them by just saying, "I will buy you the election." These are the people that he's spent a long time bribing and buttering up. But in terms of an actual unity candidate, I don't think there is one who can actually bring the party unity.
I would say, well, no, not entirely unity. Obviously,
No.
Bernie's
You know.
supporters are not going to be
Yeah,
installed.
no, but the thing is, if they choose anyone other than Bernie, if Bernie heads in with the plurality, then they will lose, they will split the party.
Okay, when I say unity candidate, I mean DNC endorsed.
Well, yeah, that's true.
The centrist.
I mean, I guess
Buttigieg.
maybe
I
Warren
think
sort of plays that.
Warren
sort of role.
actually.
She bridges the sort of.
But
moderate
Warren
progressive lane.
would be the. I think that they would very well pick Warren as a kind of right. You know, sure we got rid of your candidate to progressives to Bernie Sanders, but you know we'll throw you Elizabeth Warren, which would not go down well.
No,
but
it would go down.
I think that they would sit there and think that it would go down well. They would do it.
I think that they don't even necessarily believe that they can win the election on that ticket. I think that they know that it is better for them if they lose an election to Trump rather than win with Bernie. Because Trump, they know how to handle Trump. You know, they've been doing it for 4 years. They make a lot of money. It's a big industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone gets to sit around and insult Trump and say he's such an idiot. And
Well, yeah, because you don't have to do anything yourself.
Yeah,
all
there's
you
no
have to
actual
do as a
work, innit?
Democratic politician at the moment is sit there and say he's an idiot.
yeah, you don't have to do anything, which must be pretty appealing to
Yeah,
these
because you
people.
don't actually run the country.
Yeah.
So you have all of the Republicans trying to run the country, and so you can attack them all you want, you can say all you want, but without having any responsibility.
Whereas if you have Bernie Sanders in charge, either you have to make a serious effort to stop him getting his agenda through, or you have to bend the knee and watch him do things that you don't want him to do.
Do you think they'd win the Senate with Bernie Sanders as the nominee?
I think that it's sort of uncharted territory, but
I don't think that they could win the Senate this year.
not this year. I don't see it happening, but I don't see them winning the Senate at all this year. I don't think it could happen.
What do you mean?
It's purely political instinct. I don't think any candidate is going to bring them the Senate.
Right, I agree. I would agree.
Mm.
I think that they'll definitely win the House again. They'd
Yeah,
probably
that's-
actually increase in the House.
I would be surprised if they didn't, because they're riding that anti-Trump wave. Although, remember, the impeachment was a big misstep.
No, I don't think so.
Well, his
maybe for the
favourabilities
for
went
the
up.
Senate it was, but for the
Well, no.
for the House it wasn't.
His favourability is the highest they've ever been. His
I don't
approval
think. Yeah,
ratings.
but I don't think the Democrats put a foot wrong in the House by sending him to the Senate. Like, I don't think.
I don't think that morally they made a mistake, but I think that they've just bolstered him. They're gonna.
Yeah, they
Definitely.
bolstered him, but they've not bolstered the Republicans. They've not bolstered House Republicans. I mean,
Well,
Like,
no, but they're gonna.
it will
Drag,
play well in the bases that they need.
It's gonna excite the base. They're gonna come out because they really hate that their pick for president was unfairly ousted or nearly ousted, and they're gonna come out and they're gonna vote for Trump. And while they're there, oh well, look, we've got this House Republican that we're gonna vote for.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so because the Democrats they're gonna win the House of Representatives. Like,
Well, we'll see. I mean, again, Joe, you're coming at it with your feeble, purely living in the present brain, and I'm coming at it with my news from the future. So
news from the future.
Yeah.
But they can't win the Senate. So what's a Bernie Sanders presidency going to look like if he wins?
Well, he's already published a list of executive orders that he will push through on day one.
Okay.
So we're looking at essentially decriminalising marijuana.
Oh yeah.
We're looking at banning companies from having public contracts unless they pay the workers at least $15 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at immigration reform, immediately bringing back DACA, creating a path to citizenship for illegal immigrants. So there is a lot that Bernie Sanders can do through executive order. Of course, the toss-up is, the flip side is that the next Republican president can undo all that anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess what you would have to bet on is that the things Bernie does are so popular and so sort of beneficial to the average American that no president, Democratic or Republican, would dare try and mess with that.
I don't know if the USA is going to go that far though, ever.
Well, it's a question, it all relies really on how well Bernie is marshalling his supporters once he's president.
Yeah, fair enough.
He's got that big grassroots movement, and to my mind, one of two things is going to happen. Either they're going to go, well, we've elected Bernie Sanders, the job's finished, and we can all, relax for 4 years. Or they will stay there as an organised, active campaigning force that will campaign against people who stand against his agenda that will primary Democrats who are sort of on the centrist side and put a lot of pressure on the Republicans.
Yeah, I think that's something that could very much happen.
Absolutely. I mean, it's very possible that Bernie Sanders is the first president to really effectively use his national sort of status on the bully pulpit since Theodore Roosevelt, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
probably.
think that Bernie Sanders will put a huge amount of pressure on sort of careerist establishment politicians if he's given that power.
Do you think that Bernie Sanders would, if he won the presidency, would run for another term?
Well, it depends on his health.
In 24? I don't think he would. He'll be 82.
It depends on his health. He's indicated now that unless his health were to get worse, he would run, but he kind of has to say that because otherwise you're a lame duck from day one.
Yeah, exactly.
I could see... It'll also depend on if he's got a strong, progressive sort of successor in mind.
So he needs a good VP.
Yeah. A good VP or someone outside of that.
AOC?
She won't be old enough.
She will be in that time, won't she?
I don't think so. I think first...
I don't know. I'm going to look this up and keep talking.
Well, this is excellent research that we should have really done beforehand. But yeah, I mean, I think that Bernie Sanders...
Oh, no, she won't be.
No, I think it'll probably be... My prediction for Bernie Sanders VP is Nina Turner. And she's brought a lot of energy to the campaign and received a lot of flack from, people, so-called progressives. In fact, one Pete Buttigieg supporter said that Bernie Sanders needed to muzzle Nina Turner.
Yeah. Hang on. AOC would just reach the age in time for 2024.
Oh, fantastic.
If she did run.
In that case.
But I don't know if he would... I don't know. It depends how well she goes down with the rest of the country. It depends if she gets a job within his administration.
Well, Bernie Sanders has already indicated that she would.
Would she take it?
I could see her doing it.
Given her only, 2 years in Congress in total, so 2 years of real political leverage
the idea is
lawmaking.
That's behind that sort of thing is that these establishment politicians, just because they've served longer, doesn't necessarily mean that their experience is experience we want to bring to government.
No, true. If you had AOC in a decent role within the cabinet, that could be enough of a... I mean, we had a presidential candidate who was a former cabinet member in Castro.
That's true,
so,
yeah. And that's Fidel Castro.
Fidel Castro, of course. But, he did fairly well.
Yeah, he...
At the start, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he's still considered one of the front runners, right?
Yeah, he's obviously going to win. Did he endorse Warren in the end? I think he did.
I think he did. In fact, we've got news from the Nevada caucus that Castro went in and spoke for her, which was against caucus rules, because you can only speak for someone if you're a precinct captain or if you...
are
caucusing for them.
Oh, I see.
But nonetheless, he got away with it.
I don't think any action's going to be taken about that,
I
to be
don't
honest.
think so.
Imagine, prosecute Julian Castro.
But yeah, it looks like if Bernie Sanders wins, he's going to have a pretty progressive cabinet. I could see a lot of these sort of Democratic establishment insiders losing their jobs, which is why I don't think they want him. I think they would rather lose. And I think they know they'd lose if they cheat him out of the nomination.
I think that they would definitely rather lose.
Yeah.
At this point than have Bernie Sanders win.
And if that's what has to happen...
I think if they have to back him, if he actually does win outright, a majority,
we've seen
then...
some of the media sort of start to, begrudgingly get behind
But
Sanders.
I think if he does win, and he wins without any need for a brokered convention or anything like that, if he just wins outright, I think they'll get behind him.
I think they'll be forced to at that point. I don't think they'll try and sabotage his campaign, although they, I think a lot of the time we think they're spineless, and it's not that they're spineless, it's just that they have the worst political instincts. So when they should be showing some backbone, they don't. But, they could at any time just decide to self-destruct, because like Joe Biden, the Democratic establishment, you can't predict what crazy suicidal thing they'll do next. And it could be, grotesquely, that Bernie Sanders actually has to drag the Democratic Party away from its own sort of self-destruction. Because I think that if it's another candidate who runs sort of to the centre and loses the election again to Donald Trump, one of the people who, realistically should be easy to beat, it's going to destroy their credibility even more.
Yeah. That's accurate.
Yeah. Excellent political analysis there from Joe.
I mean, It is going to be Bernie Sanders. I think it's safe to say it's going to be Bernie Sanders.
I'm not sure. I think that it's going to be Bernie Sanders or it's going to be another Trump presidency. But
oh yeah, no, I mean for the nominee.
oh yeah, no, I just don't know if Bernie Sanders, can sort of swamp the states and win on Super Tuesday. Then it'll be great. But if he sort of is challenged by Bloomberg and Biden in the South and sort of has to compete with Warren in the East and, the North, then it's going to be an issue for him.
I think we could very much end...
Oh, Joe's just having a yawn there.
Excuse me. I think we could very much end up with a scenario in which you don't really have a clear nominee. You just end up with loads of people winning different regions of the country.
Yeah, that's the strategy right now. I mean, we've looked at Amy Klobuchar is still predicted by some people to win Minnesota. You've got sort of southern states like Alabama going to Joe Biden. It looks like he's probably going to take South Carolina tomorrow, although could be an upset. Michael Bloomberg obviously spending a lot in basically all the Super Tuesday states. So it's a mess, but that's what we love about American politics.
It's always a mess.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, do you want to wrap this up
I think we should wrap this up now, yeah.
Okay.
I've been quite tired throughout this episode, so I apologise for
I've
it.
mixed up a lot of words, so I should probably get some sleep as well.
I think we've done a good job. Right. See you later.
See you later, and
hope you've enjoyed our input.
stay crispy.
Stay crispy.